Yo, what's up, guys? Consistent uploader here. All jokes aside, today I wanted to tell you all the story of how I almost died in Costa Rica. And yes, this actually happened. I'm not just making things up for the clickbait. I promise. Also, please let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, because honestly, I am so fresh out of content ideas right now. It's not even funny. It's been 8 months. Okay, listen, I did not intend for it to be 8 months. I didn't even intend for it to be a week since the last video I uploaded. But here we are. But anyways, I would gladly do more content like this because honestly, I feel like I could make quite a bit of content just telling you guys my life stories, and I'd be more than happy to do it. So, before we can discuss the meat and potatoes, we first need to discuss the backstory and the lore behind this. Because prior to going to Costa Rica, 2 weeks prior to be exact, I would fracture my wrist snowboarding as I'm trying to figure out how to brake and not hit a tree constantly. And I would end up falling backwards one too many times, landing on my wrist, and I broke the distal radius in my left hand. That was so fun, guys. Breaking a wrist is so fun. Would totally recommend. Yeah, no, don't do that. So at first, the orthopedics tell me that I don't need to get a cast on or anything. I can just every 20 to 30 minutes apply an ice pack to my wrist, and over time it'll heal itself. So I'm thinking, all right, so I'll be good by the time Costa Rica comes around. Unfortunately, things took a very bad turn when the day before, the orthopedics proceed to tell me that I'm going to have to get a cast on my arm. A day before we would be going to Costa Rica, they tell me I'm getting this cast on my arm. This would essentially eliminate any chance I had of doing any of the awesome water sports, and I would have to be extra cautious in the rain because if you don't know, Costa Rica is probably top 10 most rainy locations in the world. So we go shopping and we get this protective plastic cover for my arm, which we jokingly referred to as the arm condom. And I might just decide to refer to it as the arm condom for the rest of the video because why not? Why not? So the arm condom is essentially there to protect my cast from getting wet, therefore ruining it, and then I'll have to get the cast redone when I get back from Costa Rica. The thing that I was worried about and what I had no knowledge of is just how durable the bag actually was for getting soaked and doing stuff like water sports such as surfing or snorkeling or swimming. So I ultimately made the very disappointing decision to just not participate in any of the water sports or anything where there'd be a ton of rain. Unfortunate, but it had to be done if I wanted to fully enjoy the trip. So I just went along with it. So we spend about 4 days in Costa Rica. I end up having a good time anyway. I still enjoyed the awesome weather. I still got to eat some awesome food, got to participate in some fun activities. It was unfortunate that I couldn't do something like zip lining in the downpouring rain or swimming with everybody. For snorkeling, I ended up just holding my left arm above water the entire time. My arm was so sore by the end of that, by the way. Final day in Costa Rica comes along after our 4-day stint, and we're set to go whitewater rafting. Now, for obvious reasons, with my wrist being broken, I can't go. I can't go whitewater rafting. The entire time leading up to the trip, that was what I was most looking forward to, and I couldn't even do it. So, at first, it was really disappointing. I was pretty bummed out. But life goes on. I had a good time in Costa Rica regardless, so I'm fine just taking one for the team and not going. However, when we get there, all of the staff are going, meaning that because it was a school trip, I couldn't just stay behind by myself. So with the arm condom on, I would have to go ahead on this trip with everyone, go whitewater rafting, and hope to God that my cast didn't get destroyed. Halfway through, I'm feeling pretty good, I'm paddling pretty well. I've canoed and kayaked pretty much my entire life, although whitewater rafting is a totally different beast, considering all the rocks and the waves and just overall obstacles, branches that you have to avoid. I think we saw a few falling branches as we're going along. So, I was doing pretty well, all things considered, and I was having a good time. I was just worried that I was going to, the raft was going to flip at some point, and who knows what would happen to my cast. At the halfway point, we make a pit stop on the side of the river to eat some amazing pineapple and watermelon, which, by the way, if you ever go to Costa Rica, pineapple is where it's at. Okay, they have pineapple farms all over Costa Rica. If I would recommend anything to you, it would be go to a pineapple farm, eat some pineapple. It's awesome. So much fun. However, where things start to take a turn is our tour guide on our specific raft proceeds to tell us that he hasn't flipped in his 20 years of experience whitewater rafting. So in other words, the man hit us with his special move, his Jinx-a-Rooski. That was just wonderful. Just a few minutes later, we would come up to the final obstacle on the river, which was a little drop down. I guess you could call it a waterfall. Rocks everywhere. Branches that had fallen. So, it's a terrifying looking drop down. For anyone listening with half a brain cell, you probably know how the story concludes. And we essentially get rear-ended as we come to the drop down from the raft behind us. And we flip, fall in, and honestly, for whatever reason, I was more concerned about the cast, but I'm sitting here underneath the raft stuck for what felt like minutes. In reality, it was probably about 10 to 15 seconds, long enough that it hurt to hold my breath. So I'm just sitting underneath this raft, hoping that someone will flip it, but with how raging the waves were, I couldn't get out. No one was able to flip it, and I'm just hitting my head back on forth on I don't even know what. Luckily, we were forced to wear helmets for obvious reasons, and by the time I finally got out from under it and our tour guide flipped the raft, my head was in so much pain. But at the end of the day, I survived. So I was fine with it. I had a good time. But obviously, that's not what I was worried about. No, I did not want to wear this cast any longer. So when we got out of the water, the very first thing I did was check my cast. Thankfully, it was completely dry. So, hooray for arm condom! But anyways, we ended up getting out of the water, eating nachos, having a good time. We enjoyed the rest of our trip, went to Panama. Panama is amazing, by the way. It's like a much more relaxed Miami. It is gorgeous. I would totally recommend it. Would totally recommend Costa Rica if you ever are looking for a place to travel to outside the country. So yeah, moral of the story, if you're going to travel to Costa Rica, just don't go snowboarding beforehand. Anyways, we've reached the end of our gameplay, and I'm just going to let the gameplay play out, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I'll see you before 8 months from now. Later.